What's up, gamers? Welcome to the Shackcast episode 52. I have special guest Andrew Alliance here with me, and he's got something really hot to introduce right here at the top of the show. What have you got, man?
No, what's up, man? Thanks so much for the invitation, as always. No, I definitely wanted to talk to you about the Samsung ad. You actually sent me this a couple of minutes ago,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the ad showing a response to what Apple showed with crushing, the stuff. And this is the ad showing a lady. I think that's okay to say, right? Is that safe? I
Yeah,
think,
that's
right?
safe. We're safe.
Walking in, walking into a room full of things destroyed on the floor, and she picks up the broken guitar and she starts playing, and then they pan to the actual tablet and it says Samsung on it, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so I guess we lead in with that. Thoughts on that ad, and we can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, because Apple's ad was all about destroying stuff. You know, they were crushing paint cans and a piano and, destroying art. And I was like, what are they trying to say through this ad? Like that they're trying to bring all this art into the iPad or something to empower artists or whatever, because that's not really the signal that I got. It was like, hey, man, screw art, like the future is AI, the future is the iPad and all that stuff. So Samsung coming in with their response of like, hey, we're walking through this broken room, the aftermath of the iPad ad, and we're like, hey, we're going to pick up that broken guitar and we're going to make something out of it. And,
Right.
using the Samsung tablet is something that empowers art rather than destroys art.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, what do the people actually think this is? Do you think like this is like a game? Like, we're not playing Destiny. Well, we were playing last night, but we're not
Yeah,
playing Destiny online here. We're not all friends here,
yeah,
right?
that's
Not
very true.
everybody's collaborating. This is an actual war. This is a direct response to an ad that they had to apologize for
Yeah,
that they released, right?
yeah,
So it's like even the stuff that we do, it's like not everybody wants to collaborate. Not everybody wants you to actually succeed in the things that you're doing,
mm-hmm.
right?
That's
As soon
very
as you get
true.
more shine or more subscribers than somebody else, then all of a sudden that you're the enemy,
You're the target.
right?
Yeah,
You're the target. So this is war. This is their marketing to make sure, and advertising to make sure that they get the audience, like that they're listening, right?
mm-hmm.
And they're paying attention to what's happening in the marketplace. And someone's gonna win that battle. You're probably gonna see, stocks affected by that, whether it's Apple or Samsung or what have you, right?
Absolutely.
And people's lives are going to be uh somewhat affected by that because people are having the conversation in the town square, which is X now, right? The big one, right?
Yeah,
So people are sensitive to those things, and if someone approved, and that's the thing that's interesting, someone approved that Apple ad to go out to the
very
world,
true. Yeah.
right? How does that happen? I
Mm.
just don't understand that. But go ahead.
And a lot of these companies, I mean, this is like a decision by a team. It's not just like one guy was like, hey, we made this ad, it's perfect, let's put it out. It's like they formulated this plan together to film this and record this commercial and to get the assets to make that happen. And they were like, yeah, we're really cooking here, guys. And then and then they get the blowback and they're like, whoa, wait a minute, really, like we're wrong on this, like.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100% wrong. And people are going to talk about the broken guitar,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, right? They're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, how could you do that? There's a broken guitar. You're copying and pasting, this information to create your own ad. This is war. I don't know what anybody's talking about. Not everybody's friendly, okay? Not everybody's your friend online. I know it seems like that's the world that we live in. Everybody wants to kumbaya.
Mm-hmm.
But I've
Sure.
learned from my experience, whether you think somebody's your friend today or last year, they may not be your friend if you surpass them in some capacity, right?
Yikes.
Then it's like, oh, what happened to my friends? No, no, people are just hanging out sometimes just to siphon enough
Mm-hmm.
information for them to do what they need to do with their brand. And unfortunately, that's the case for a lot of people who create content, whether it's an independent person or, two-man team, three-man team kind of vibe. But that's just the nature of some spaces. I want to be fair,
Sure.
it's the nature of some spaces. There are people out there who really care about, human beings, who want everyone to succeed. And I know there's the other side of that too.
Yeah, I think business can be very cutthroat, and you have to be very careful who you trust and for how long you trust them and what kind of information you release to friends, family, acquaintances, because as you go further down that line, it's like you want to kind of hold back on some of the crazy stuff. You don't share the NDAs and all sorts of, intimate details about business dealings or whatever it may be. And like you said, everyone comes for the guy at the top, right? So it's, you don't get to be Michael Jordan or somebody without having a lot of enemies trying to one up what you've done in your career, right?
Yeah, and I think the other thing too to mention, because it sounds like it's either one or the other,
Mm.
but the other thing to consider as well is as you grow, some people just naturally fall off, right?
Oh, okay.
Because you're at a different mindset, or some people say you're at a different frequency. So I'll add that bit in there as well, because sometimes people feel like they're no longer relatable to you, whoever you are, right?
Mm.
Quote unquote, as you're learning and growing and conferencing and networking, and your circle may change gradually, and those individuals who used to be like your high school buddies, college buddies, or whoever, they may
Yeah.
fall off because they're not going in the same, path as you. So there's that too. But there's also the path where some people are just mean, and some people, just
Mm-hmm.
don't care about your success. There's that part too.
That's real talk that you don't always hear. That's the
Well, I
tough
mean,
talk
it's
that
it's the
needs to be had.
reality.
It
It's
is.
the reality.
And we can't not acknowledge that. I mean, it would be silly for us to just paint it all as rainbows and flowers and everything's always good and everybody's your friend. You should trust everybody unequivocally. Not that you shouldn't look for friends and collaborations and all sorts of good things. But yeah, the fact that, you are going to shed people and people change, and sometimes the direction you're going in is not the same direction that some of your friends are going. Because, like right now, if you look at yourself, you're probably a lot different than you were when you first wrapped up your schooling, right? Like you had different
Yeah,
goals. You're a
absolutely.
different person. You're businessman, Andrew, right now. Like
Yeah,
I've
exactly,
written
exactly.
books. I'm a successful podcaster. Like my priorities are different. The way I approach situations are different than high school Andrew did, and
Yeah, and,
your
and you're
friends.
right. You're right about that. But it's even with that, what you just shared, I
Yeah.
still feel like I'm going back to basics, because that's what really connects with people, right? It's one thing to have over, this amount of, shows recorded, or books and stuff like that. I think those things are fantastic, even though I want to do more of those things, right? But I
Yeah.
think the ability to connect with people, it still comes down to just being a human and being kind, right? Being, you know, um, having empathy, right? And being humble. And I think those things still
Hmm.
matter in you trying to, go for the moon and the galaxy. I think those things are still important.
Absolutely. You can't lose yourself by trying to, become a celebrity or some sort of icon or something like that. Because once you kind of hit that status, everyone looks at you as like, oh, this guy's disconnected from reality. Like he's living in a different world than the rest of us. He has no connection to the humble people, the rest of the world, right? And I don't think you've lost that.
No, I'm trying not to, but I
Yeah.
think there's, like I was saying, there's a natural fall off. Once you write a book, there's a natural fall off,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because you've crossed the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've made some changes in how people look at you, and a lot of folks feel now that they can't relate because you're a published author in some capacity, and I don't think that's right, but that's
Mm.
just human nature, right? Because of self-esteem, self-worth, how people view things, right? They may not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily feel accomplished themselves, and they may look at being an accomplished author or podcaster or YouTuber in some capacity as a holy grail of something that they're trying to reach. And
Mm-hmm.
if you achieve any amount of success in any of those arenas, whatever the arena is, then they're like, oh, well, you know, it's already done, or it's saturated, and all the things that people try to say to not even give themselves a chance, you know?
Yeah, those are all excuses, honestly. I mean, I've thought the same thing, you know, if you don't have the homegrown natural talent of Bon Jovi, is it really worth getting into music? Is it really worth writing a book when J.R.R. Tolkien already exists? You know, you come up with
Right.
all these different things in your mind. Is it worth being an actor when Leonardo DiCaprio is already a thing, right? It, well, of course it's
Right.
worth it. You could be the next one. You could be the next
Right.
Chadwick Boseman, but you didn't put the effort in. You never even bothered to try. And when you see someone else trying and succeeding, naturally you take that animosity that you have for it should have been me, you know, and you push that onto them.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, since we're doing real talk, as much as I like to encourage people to do
Yeah.
um, the next thing that they're trying to do. After a while, you wonder,
Mm,
is the cause worth fighting for? And of course, it is, right? Is the cause worth fighting for? Because if it's the same person you've been telling for the last 5 years,
yeah.
3 years, 2 years to do something, right?
Mm,
After a while, it's like I can't put any more energy there, right? But is that even right? You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
like we've talked about it last year. We talked about it during the 2020, 2021, 2022 era of craziness, right? We talked about it during those times.
Yeah.
Like, what else do you need to hear for you to move forward, right? And I think that it's like, but that's not how it works, right?
Mm,
That's not how it works because planting a seed, you don't know when that seed is going to happen. It may not happen in the last 5 years. It may just be one more thing someone says in passing at a store, and then like, oh, now it all makes sense what everyone's been trying to tell me on starting something, for myself. So realizing that's not how it works, even though we've shared with a lot of folks, hey, you should start, this thing, or you should write that thing, or whatever it is. The seed that's planted, we don't necessarily, we don't water, we don't plant, we don't do all the things, right?
yeah.
We just do a bit of it, and then hopefully, at some point, the tipping point happens for the person, and then they move forward.
Absolutely. And it takes a lot of perseverance to do so because, I mean, you're going to face opposition. You know, as soon as you start writing a book, you know, everyone's going to say, well, Andrew, you've never written a book. You're not going to be successful at this. Why even bother, you know?
Yeah, I will though. I will. That's that's the thing. And I'm writing another one right now. Yeah, it's gonna be great, right?
He's
Um,
addicted to writing books.
and that's just the nature of it, man. Because you have things that you want to share with the world, like even the IRL channel. I mean, that's
Hmm.
from scratch, right?
Yeah.
I think that you have to give yourself permission to create. You have to,
Hmm.
and everyone has the ability to do that. Even the person that says they don't have the ability to do that, and that goes into like theology or philosophy. The very God that created us is a creative God. So why wouldn't you be one if you're created in His image? But that's a whole other thing. We're not going there. We're not
Man,
going there, bro. We're not going
profound.
there.
I got
We're
you,
not-
though. It makes sense.
but this is a gaming show, right? So
Let's
let's talk
dig into
about
the gaming,
games.
man. Remember that the best way to support the channel is to sign up for a membership on the YouTube channel. Members get exclusive channel badges to highlight their continued support over the months and years. As a member, you get access to special emojis expressing a variety of emotions and support for the channel. Members will also receive photo and status updates, early access to select videos, and at higher tiers, access to a members-only Discord channel. Your support is what keeps the Shackcast photography blog and the YouTube channel going. Please like and share the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on a video or a Shackcast episode. Thank you for tuning in. Check out my merch store on Spring. Link is in the description. You'll find apparel, homeware, accessories, pet stuff, and drinkware, all designed around my brand. I'm proud to sport this stuff myself, and I know you will enjoy it as much as I do. Profits from the merch store support the podcast and the YouTube channel. Take a look and see if anything suits you. I have a wide arrangement of colors and sizes, with many designs being rotated in constantly. Listen to the podcast and check in regularly for coupon codes. Thank you for your support. Yeah, so big news from this week was Assassin's Creed Shadows being announced. To a lot of, excitement on some end and controversy all around. But I want to read out a few things that we can expect from this game based on what has been revealed through the press. So Assassin's Creed Shadows, of course, is a game that will take place in Japan. We have a female shinobi character, and we have a male samurai character that we will be able to pick and choose at will. It's not going to be like Odyssey, where it's like you pick at the beginning of the game and your choice is final. This is going to be more like Assassin's Creed Syndicate with Jacob and Evie Fry. How Jacob was kind of the brash, combat guy, and Evie was, the stealthy, sneaky one. We're getting pretty much the same idea here. And, based on this trailer, these two characters are going to interact. It's not going to be like you pick one and the other one just disappears the way a lot of games kind of handle that. As we can see from the trailer, there's a little bit of tension between the two of these characters. How do you feel about that?
I really like it. So I watched the trailer just before we started, and I'm like, you know what? This is probably one I would play because I have not played an Assassin's Creed title for some time. Okay. So seeing, how, the trailer started, of course, they're not showing any gameplay yet, right? It's just the trailer to get you hype and interested in the title, which is, which that's what companies do, right? Yeah. But everything that I saw was like, wow, and of course the voice acting is amazing. And that pulls you into the experience that is the trailer. I'm in. I would play this.
I'm in too. I think one thing that is true to their formula is that they always do this. There's always a cinematic trailer that says, here's what the characters are doing, here's where they are, and then they kind of tease, like, through the combat and the action, like, what the gameplay might be like. Of course, it's very idealized because it's all CG animated and it looks gorgeous and, it's idealized in some ways. But you get kind of a rough picture of what's going on. And yeah, it can cause people to get like super overhyped, and we should wait till gameplay to really reserve our thoughts. But I mean, this has been the way they've done it for dozens of games at this point. And it's been a successful model, right? Because it pulls you into that cinematic story in that world, and it gets you hyped.
Yeah, it does. And my thing is, I just want to walk around and just experience like the sound design, right? Not necessarily fight as much. I just want to walk around and see how the people are interacting with one another. So that is one of the things that you have to give any Assassin's Creed game props for. The ability just to appreciate, the dialogue and just embracing what's happening in the world as you're navigating through it. I think they've always done a fantastic job with that.
Absolutely. I mean, the historical accuracy that they have achieved with every game, roughly.
Right. And to be fair,
trying their best.
I just want to interject real quick. To be fair, this is coming from a person that hasn't played an Assassin's Creed game in like at least 5, 6, 7 years, right?
Ooh, okay.
And still, they're doing a fantastic job at that.
So what do you think was the last one you might have played?
Maybe 3?
Okay. So the Native American in America, one of my favorites, during the American Revolution.
I looked at the one that they started tag teaming, the 2 teams on each side. I don't know which one that was, but they started doing like some tag teaming effect, like team of 3 on one side and then team of 3 on the other side. Like that collaboration co-op Assassin's Creed stuff started happening. When they started introducing that, I kind of like started falling off.
Yeah. No, they've definitely had these moments where they sort of lose track of what the brand is, and they try to be something they're not. There were times where they tried the multiplayer mode that was very hide and seek, assassinate each other. You walk into a crowd, you don't know who the assassin is. Then they did the co-op stuff with Unity, which was straight like 4-player co-op, which was
exactly.
fun, but it's like, hey, you are kind of losing track of like what the core experience of the game is, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it even happens when they switched over to the RPG model with the Souls-like combat controls and, you know, the looter system
Yeah,
of
you gotta go with the times, man. You gotta compete. You gotta compete.
the rarity of the armor and weapon types.
Yep.
I need the blue sword that does 500 damage, or else I can't damage the dude that's in this area. You start losing track of the assassin part
Yeah.
of the game a little bit.
That's not your identity. And then now you see all the companies, whoever they may be, they are all going back to basics. What made them truly great at what they do. Every company, and some companies
Mhm.
are letting people, you know, move in a new direction away from the company to get back to what originally made the company great. And we see that across the board.
And I think,
Unfortunately, it's sad. We have to say that it's sad. You
yes.
know, of course, we hope people bounce back, but a lot of companies are shifting gears and trying to save money, cutting costs to go back to bare bones, to their core. You know, what do you call that thing? There's core competence, they call it, right?
Yes.
Come back to that.
And really what's interesting about this whole thing is that Mirage was a step in that direction of like, hey, this is us picking an environment. It's still a massive city. Baghdad was still huge, right? But it wasn't like massive in the way other games were, with loads of, you know, mountains and forests and too much open world and too much gameplay, too much looking for armor and weapons, and, you know, oversaturated open world games has kind of been what the franchise has sifted into, with Mirage saying, here's a more intimate location and an intimate story, and we're getting back to assassinating, social stealth. Of course, there's still some combat, but Basim was not. He was not a trained warrior. He was someone who could sneak around. He could get by in a sword fight, but he's not going to take a lot of hits because he's wearing cloth. He's not wearing, you know, cloth and leather. He's not wearing armor plated stuff. So it's not like the Viking game or the Greek Spartan Simulator game where you're obviously wearing armor and you're fighting enemies that way. So it was a shift, and maybe this is a more aggressive shift from that, where it's like, hey, we do realize we need to go back to basics and deliver what you expect from a core Assassin's Creed game, but obviously with all the enhancements of everything we've learned over the years, and us adapting to the modern technology that's available at this time, you know, so we're not just giving you a bare bones Assassin's Creed 1 with better graphics, you know. It's not just a reskin, it's, you know, this is a whole new experience that they want to deliver.
Yeah, 100%. So when you think about Battlefield 1942, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, for me, you know, if Battlefield decides to go back to, again, we were talking about core competence, if they decide to go back to that, that would be the games that would pull the inspiration from for them to build their new game. I know they recently came out with some news about how exciting it's going to be, how next level it's going to be. We don't really care, right?
Nope.
We've been playing Destiny 2 for however long. Warframe is, you know, 2013, Destiny 2014. And you can go back to some of these games and see how long we've been playing these titles. I put in 1,600 hours in Destiny since I started playing it. I'm sure you put in a lot of time as well. And it's like, we just want what we want, you know, simplicity, you know, go back to what made you great. You know, we have a new Contra, which is doing amazing as well.
Yeah.
And you see King of Fighters going back to basics, Street Fighters going back to basics. Like there's something to be said about focusing on your strengths and then delivering in the new technology of the world, without trying to do so much more stuff, right? Now, some companies may get away with it because they do it great, but even when you see, well, we're going to save Ubisoft stuff for a little bit later. I'm sure we can talk about that later. But going back to basics is essential for anyone that's building something.
Absolutely. And, you know, I put out a clip of us saying this before in the past, and a lot of people push back on it, saying, The hell I don't. Like, we were saying, hey, people want the guaranteed experience. The reason why Call of Duty even is sort of going back to basics is because they tried new things and people didn't enjoy those new things. They want the modern warfare of days old. And so people were responding to us saying this exact argument, because it's not the first time we've had this back and forth on this. But they said, no, I want all new experiences. Like, I don't want, the same games over and over. But at mass,
no, you don't.
Most people do. Most people do want exactly what we want. Like Mario Brothers, the reason why the formula...
Exactly. I was just about to go there.
We're kicking turtles. We're jumping on Goombas. It changes. It innovates here and there. They try new things every now and then. But the core of it is like, oh, dude, we can't let go of this because this is what pleases people, right? Like, this is the core of the franchise. Yeah.
It is, right. It is the core of the franchise. So when you think about what Smash has done, because Smash created that genre from what I recall, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't remember there were any other games like that before Smash came out. Is that correct? I don't know. For
fighting
me,
games, games, or just games that
look like that. That framework where people have like the different characters. It zooms in, it zooms out. You can kick them off of the thing. Well, maybe. I mean, if someone will go argue, well, you can go back to Nintendo when Mario had the POW thing in the middle, and you could just do that kind of like battle between the two Marios, right?
That's
in terms of
pushing it a little,
right?
But yeah,
that's pushing it. That's going way back. But in terms of the Smash formula, you got the Nickelodeon version of it. You have Brawlhalla. You have Multiverses, and they all do the same thing, right? They are looking at that particular formula that worked, and it just gave us a new framework to play different characters, right? Without necessarily getting sued by Nintendo, because you know how Nintendo love to send legal wherever they got to send them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's their right because that's their property. But the thing is, that formula, the Smash formula, is in all these games, and Multiverses is coming back. What, a week from now? Maybe late May?
Yeah.
So not too far from now. So that formula works. So all the formula that works with the shoot 'em up and the even when you look at Contra, that formula is in all the games that we play. That is a shoot 'em up. And when you look at GoldenEye, which inspired Modern Warfare, that formula is still working in a lot of these titles that we're playing. So you don't want new things. You think you want new things, right? You think that's what you want. And when you get something that is semi-new, you don't play it.
What's an example of that? Can you give us a few? Something new.
The only what was? See, I don't even know. Forspoken. What happened with that?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Forspoken is something new. Totally new IP.
Really think about that, right?
It's not like anything else, right?
It's not. What happened to it? Is anyone talking about Forspoken today?
It got slammed. I mean, the only time people talk about it is when it's on a deep discount and somebody tries it and they're like, hey, this isn't bad. Like, this is pretty cool. Maybe we were too harsh on this coming out, Right.
So you think about a game like Forspoken, and even this, I don't know, I don't remember the name of this game, but it was a gentleman that presented it at, I think it was, at Jeff Keighley's event in December, and it was honoring his dad.
Oh my
gosh, what I'm talking about, right? That title, right?
Yeah,
it's getting some traction, but not a lot. I mean, that thing looks amazing, okay, but it's not getting a lot of traction. But you would say, well, that's not new. Okay, fair,
no, it's a Metroidvania type game.
It's a
Tales of Kenzera
title.
Zao. Yeah.
Can you say the name again?
That is Tales of Kenzera Zao. Zau. Very positive reviews on Steam, but look, it says only 316 reviews on Steam.
That's what I'm saying. So
it's a niche.
You say you want new things, but do you really?
Do you support new things when they come out? When there's like a new IP, a new movie, or a new video game, do you immediately flock to the theater to support it. I would say Starfield is another new thing, right? Like,
Right.
it's
What
not
happened?
wholly new.
I
It's
mean,
obviously building off of Elder Scrolls and Fallout. But I mean, it's a new IP, right?
yeah, and it just got an update, which I see that you have on your docket. We'll
Yeah,
talk
we'll
about
talk
that.
about that too.
But what happened to Starfield? Starfield, the marketing was incredible for Starfield, and
Yeah.
then it got really quiet, right? Because I think
Mm,
certain platforms, depending on, frames per second, it's always been a frames per second conversation. Like even me being on PC now is because you left
yeah.
me to play 30 frames and you went to play 60 frames. So I was like, hey, I can't stay here. I need to go to 60 frames too, at least, right?
You get
So
it.
I
You
think
get it
that,
now, though. You understand why.
oh, yeah,
Why I was
absolutely.
like, I
It's
don't want to
incredible.
play Destiny on PS4 with Andrew anymore.
Dude,
It looks
you
way better
can't.
on PC.
You
Like,
can't. I loaded up Division 2 last night. I'm like, this game looks like it just came out and it looks absolutely incredible, right? Just it's just amazing. So you look at the titles. So let's go back to
mm,
what you're saying with Metroidvania. So
sure.
you have that title, you have Ori. Ori, of course, critically acclaimed at this point. I
Hmm.
think Ori's in another category. And I really do believe that Ori inspired a lot of the Metroidvania titles that we're seeing after it, in
Yeah.
my opinion,
Yeah,
right?
the
Because that's how
comeback
it
for the
works.
genre, right? Like, because that
That's how it
genre's
works.
been sleeping, dude.
Right,
Since,
right. We're inspired by someone else, and then we create titles, and that's how it works, right? So Ori
mm,
inspired a lot of stuff, and then when you look at Call of Duty and even
mm,
the finals, XDefiant,
mm-hmm.
of course, Titanfall may be working on stuff. Apex, all those titles have inspired X Defiant. They have inspired the finals, right? And
Yeah.
the next generation of titles are going to build off of the titles that are doing extremely well. Whether it's a Helldivers, they almost messed up. They
Yeah.
almost messed up, right?
Yeah,
They almost messed up, but they came back,
they did.
and they're trying to work on stuff. Okay, finals, very strong start. Although they feel like they haven't performed to the level that they want to, but it's still an incredible title, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
next generation of FPS titles, hopefully, the next Battlefield will look at what's working in this generation,
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, 1942 was incredible for us. Battlefield 3, 4 was incredible for us. Let's bottle that and put out a new game with the new tech. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything great anymore
Yeah.
because everything has technically been already done. No one's really thinking about VR like that. That's my opinion. Okay.
Mm.
It's my opinion, right? Nobody's really thinking about VR like that, but we're still playing all these titles with controllers and keyboards. So give us what we want in that, and then you'll be okay.
There's a reason why people go back to Battlefield 4. I know we've said this multiple
Yeah,
times.
100%.
The secret sauce was there. All you gotta do is just give us that again. I know you want to go to different time periods, and that's always fun to do. But when you deliver a subpar experience in that realm, then you've messed up, and it's hard to regain that trust.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Like even when you look at a title like Call of Duty Vanguard, Call of
Mm,
Duty Vanguard during the time that was released, because they had some interesting stuff happening with their leadership. That
mm.
is still one of the best Call of Duties in every Call of Duty that came out. It's better than the dog Call of Duty. It's
Okay.
better than the
Ghosts. Yeah.
verticality Call of Duty, right?
Oh,
It's better.
verticality. Yeah.
Yeah, that's your favorite word, right? It's better than those Call of Duties, but because of the season and the time when it was released during the company's struggles with leadership and all the different things that was happening at that time,
Mm-hmm.
if you recall, depending on who's listening, later or whatever, they barely put the branding of Activision on the title and menus of the game because they did not want you to know that this title was associated with the company that was releasing it.
That's crazy, dude. That's like
Okay,
Coke taking the label off their can and being like, "Yeah, drink the soda."
right.
Like we know we had a blow up recently, but here,
Right, but we're
like
so
that's
connected now
crazy.
with how we get information. People are going to know, who's releasing these titles, but for
Mm-hmm.
the person who's just going to go to the store and get the next Call of Duty, they don't care. They're just going to play the game.
Yeah.
So that game didn't really do bad. It just
No.
didn't get a lot of eyes on it, which,
Mm,
aside from that, but it's one of my favorites outside of the current ones that we have.
I dig it. I still need to try it. I I'm believing you though.
It's really good, man.
Okay, I want to go through some bullet points here on Assassin's Creed Shadows because there's a lot that's changing here, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Some of the bullet points here: global illumination system is new, dynamically affects enemy vision, improves lighting. You can hide in the shadows, very much like Splinter Cell. And then, of course, you can create your own shadows by snuffing out the lights, so there's lanterns or whatever, you'll be putting out flames. Dynamic weather system, severe weather affects enemy vision and hearing, so snowstorms, icicles hanging off the rooftops can fall off and alert your enemies if you're on the rooftop, Like, there's so much that they are changing here, but since you played 3, that was the last time that they ever had seasonal changes, where you would be playing in the spring, the summer, the fall, the winter, and areas would freeze over. The deep snow would slow you down if you were running on the ground, which is why Connor Kenway was Native American. He kept to the trees, and that was a skill that he honed, was to run from treetop to treetop in order to outrun his enemy that he is going to assassinate. So that tells me, like, hey, we're looking at every game where we did something really cool, and we're gonna poach features from every game there, because that was a key thing. That was really cool. They're saying, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, like, for when you're thinking about immersion stuff, I think it's absolutely incredible because, when people are streaming these games or are showing gameplay, we're looking at different things on the screen. Even the new Captain America and Black Panther game that's coming out, like, they did a presentation on the amount of detail that they can take in and out of the frames for you to enjoy. So people are going to pay attention for that, in years to come. Even there was a news article earlier this week I saw where there was a door in Mario 64 that people were trying to open, and they finally figured out how to open that door. But it was already open. It's just how the door was open. So, like, the attention to detail, going back even from Mario 64 days to present day, people will be paying attention to for years to come, right? Whether they're trying to do speed tests or speed runs, and that's going to be an important thing, especially if you're talking about a stealth game, to get from one part of the stage to another, without alerting in a particular way, whether it's a trophy thing or achievement thing. I think those things are going to come in handy for not just this title, but titles that are going to consider that in the future.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. So with Naoe, we're going to use stealth to avoid detection, agility to confuse your enemies. As Yasuke, who is the samurai, you're going to strike your foes with lethal precision and power. There'll be new skills, gear, and progression independently for each character, set in the feudal Japan era. You're going to build your own network of spies to be your eyes and ears across locations to hunt down your targets. So that kind of harkens back to the bureaus that were in the first game and even in Mirage. And some of the other games, Revelations had it as well, where you were literally sending assassins out on missions to grow the creed, and you were getting rewards for doing so. And there was like a tower defense thing where you would command assassins throughout the game. Create a fully customizable hideout for your growing Shinobi League. Once again, this harkens back to Assassin's Creed 2, where it was like, we built Monteriggioni as the assassin stronghold in Italy. That was Uncle Mario's, mansion and his city, where we created, the foundations of the creed in that area. And it was really fun, and it's something that people go back and remember. They're like, oh, that was so cool when they let us do that. How come they don't let us do that anymore? this is pretty much Ubisoft looking back at the franchise and saying, okay, here's what we can pull. So this is a new gen only game, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, updated Anvil engine, feudal Japan during the year 1579, during the Azuchi Momoyama period. We're seeing, based on the historical significance of the time period, you'll see Portuguese merchants, legions of samurai, shinobi, Jesuit missionaries, etc. Large open world, and they are comparing it to Assassin's Creed Origins, which was when we went to Egypt, and that was a very huge map, but it was also, it had its memorable locations. It was dense and everything, but it had those locations like Alexandria, and the Library of Alexandria. It had those iconic locations, but it also had a lot of desert in between. And of course, as you can see here, there's obviously going to be, temples and castles and bamboo forests, villages, all sorts of things in between.
So I think so with all that, I think all those things are going to make sense, to us as we look at the game and experience the game. I think the other thing to consider is like the inspiration for that genre altogether. We can go back as far as Metal Gear, right?
Yes.
And we're still experiencing some incredible games that are being inspired from the 80s. And I think it's great. I think it's a great thing.
Absolutely incredible. Let's see. One more thing on Yasuke's combat. It's going to emphasize parries, breaking enemies' armor plates, decapitation finishers, which, we saw in the trailer, like the bloody slice where he sliced like 5 dudes, and we just saw that like streak of blood just flying off the blade. So, to me, that, just gleaning off details and making assumptions about the trailer, I don't think it's going to be, you got to be level 36 to fight this guy, and it's going to be hack away at his armor, until he dies. It's not going to be bullet spongy type stuff. Like, I think this might harken back to some of the older games where it's like, if you're really skilled at this game and your attacks are precise and your parries and counterattacks, if everything's on point, you're going to be seeing those brutal finishers and kills, and you're not going to be here hacking at the same enemy for a long time. They're also adding the ability to go prone, which I believe that would be a first for the series, to be able to go prone and just sneak around like that. Enemies can now be knocked out if players want to play like a pacifist, which some games have had the option where you can equip your fists and fist fight. It hasn't always been the best option, but I think there have been times in the previous games where I was like, it actually is kind of cool to play through it that way, where you disarm your opponent. I would do that in Assassin's Creed 3 a lot. I would just go unarmed and disarm the opponent, take his sword or his rifle away, and then I would kill him with it. Or I would just drop the gun and then beat him up with my fists. And, like, how cool is that? That's the most Batman thing ever, is to ignore the easiest option to defeat your opponent and going with the more noble option.
Yeah, and usually they have achievements, tied to that, and trophies and stuff like that, which is really cool.
Absolutely. So they're saying you can crawl under the water in a pond during the summer, but during the winter, that pond will be frozen over. So once again, it's just going to be a lot of details that might change as the seasons go by. I think other than that, that pretty much covers, a lot of the details. I think the other big thing was that they're getting rid of the question marks all over the map, Because you pull up the game and you're like, you get overwhelmed. You see that there's 900 question marks of like every little cave you need to investigate and every little castle. They said, hey, we're going back to, you climb the tower, you look around, we give you some things that are points of interest on your map, and it's really just you get up there as a vantage point to see what you should look and discover for yourself, and you make those decisions. rather than the game forcing you to do this sort of collect-a-thon of like, I need to comb every section of the map so that I can find weapon X or Y or whatever it's going to be. I think that encourages more agency to the player to explore and decide what you want to do. And of course, instead of climbing the towers to unlock more of the map, it's really like, hey, I need to get my bearings before I invade this castle or scope out this town. Like, let me go up high and see what I'm looking at, you know, because you're an assassin. You're going to case the joint, right? Like, if you're in a heist or something, you're going to case the joint.
Of course, 100%.
Yeah, so I dig it, man. Any thoughts on Assassin's Creed?
No, I think it's going to be great. You know, I like the fact that, you know, people get to experience a game that they love, you know, and I do like the fact that a lot of these companies are going back to basics to what made us, you know, fall in love with their, you know, product or experience and stuff like that. So I can dig it.
Absolutely. One thing I forgot to mention is that the Shinobi character, not only is she using a katana, but she is using a kusarigama, which is the object where it's like there's a blade on one end, kind of like a small sickle, and then on the other end is like a blunt object, or sometimes spikes will be on the other end, and there'll be like a chain or a rope going between. And she'll swing it around. You can use it to grapple people. You can use it to really hurt people, obviously. Pull your enemies towards you. And they said that her combat, her gameplay will associate with using a grapple to get up to high places quickly, you know, whereas the other character will probably be more about combat, where she's agility. One last thing on Assassin's Creed Shadows was Ubisoft had to do a little post today saying, hey everyone, we wanted to share some early information on the upcoming launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Following some questions we'd noticed in the community, Assassin's Creed Shadows will not require a mandatory connection at all times. An online connection will be needed to install the game, but you will be able to play the game in the entire journey offline and explore Japan without any online connection. We are super excited to bring Assassin's Creed to feudal Japan on November 15th when the game releases, and cannot wait to show you more along the way. The Assassin's Creed team.
That's dope.
Yeah, I think that's pretty standard with games nowadays.
Yeah, I dig it, man.
You got to be online to download.
I think we just want to see games. We just want to, you know, play games and have fun with them. I'm going back to basics, man. But you know what game I'm playing though. So we'll talk about that later.
Absolutely. Now, one last thing, there has been a controversy. Everyone's saying, you know, online, and I'm just gonna briefly gloss over it here because I don't think it's really worth too much of our attention. But everyone's saying, oh, Yasuke, this black samurai, like this is DEI, this is diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is, you know, the developers, you know, making stuff up, you know, like, no, this is actually, Yasuke is a historical figure. Now, obviously, they're going to take liberties with characters that are in these games, as they always have. These are fictional, science fiction, mixed with, you know, some fantasy elements. You know, I think people arguing about why are we playing as a black samurai instead of a Japanese samurai, or why isn't he a white samurai? I mean, William was a white samurai who was actually real, you know, a person who came from London to Japan during this time period. And even in Neo, it references, you play as William, you play his journey, and you even meet Yasuke in Neo. So, I mean, it's like, it's such a controversy, but I'm just going to leave you with a link to the Smithsonian, and they have a little write-up about, if you want to learn more about Yasuke and his significance in Japanese history. That's really where I want to leave that, because, I mean,
are you sure?
I'm not going to say, I want to sit here and, you know, we don't need to have the diversity, whining and crying arguments, you know, I'm right, you're wrong,
You sure?
Uh,
You don't want to ask the questions? Why are they listening to black podcasters? Why are they watching black YouTubers? Why are they watching black actors? You don't want to go down that rabbit hole? Is
yeah,
that too much?
that's crazy, man. I mean,
That
if you
is
have something
crazy.
to say, please go
No,
for
I
it.
mean with those questions, I think it's
Yeah.
enough because it's like now you're trying to figure out at this stage in the game, whether you talk about racism and stuff like that,
Yes.
that's lived in the hearts of the individual that are teaching the next generation about that, right? If
Mm-hmm.
we're honest, because that's where it is. And if people are still doing those things and still asking those questions,
Mm-hmm.
about why, this character is on screen, why this character is not on screen, then
Mm.
that's more about the person than the person that's actually performing, or the voice actor that's performing, or the actor that's performing, or the YouTuber that's recording, or the
Mm-hmm.
podcaster that's, sharing their information on, a particular platform. That's just more about the person asking
Mm.
that question, right? And I think that's where we have to really be honest with that, because at this stage in the game, if all human beings are human beings, they're not half a human being, they're not a quarter of a human being.
Yeah.
I think that's a whole nother conversation, but it's just one of those things where that's more on you,
Mm-hmm.
and legislations that you may be passing that deals with that,
Mm. Yeah.
than anything else, or systematizing or institutionalizing certain things for people not to have opportunities. That's a whole nother conversation, right?
Yeah.
That's on the person and the entities that are doing that, not the person that's, creating the content or performing or voice acting or YouTubing or whatever. So that's where I'll leave it.
Absolutely. I think if you have a problem with what's in this game, that, as you've said, that's on you. That's a you issue. And, this is real historical figures being fictionalized in a fictional game. Um, if you have a problem playing as characters of these races or you have questions about it, that's on you. But if you want to get educated, dive into the history of these characters in this time period and learn to embrace it. You might learn something. You might actually learn and grow through this experience. There have been times where we have introduced characters of different races across Grand Theft Auto, right? When they first dropped CJ in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, like that was our first playable African American character. And there was no B option. There was no like, oh, but you could
Right.
still be a white guy, if you got a problem with it. It
Right.
was
And
core to the
I guess,
experience.
yeah, definitely. And I think the last thing I'll say about it,
Mm,
me being a black man, right? It's not
yeah,
my responsibility to educate you,
yeah,
right? Because there's plenty
mm-hmm.
of places online where you can educate yourself. It's because, I hear some people say, well, why don't you send me the information? Not me personally, because I'm
No,
not going to do it. Why don't you send me the information so I can look it up? No, you go find the
no.
information and educate yourself. It's not my responsibility.
Oh my God, I
Is
feel
that
you,
a hot
man.
take? Is that a hot
No,
take?
no.
Oh,
I think you are right to have that take, and it's so true, man. Libraries, the internet, it's a public resource. Like you do your thing, man. That's
yeah,
that's the
100%.
jam. I keep watching the trailer, and I spotted one last detail, and then I'm gonna hang this up for the show. But she is using the hidden blade that Connor used. So another callback to Assassin's Creed 3 was
Mm,
he used the extendable hidden blade, which not only did it shoot out of his wrist, but it extended a little further, and then you could grab the blade like a knife and wield it. And so it gave you even more range and a little more of a surprise attack and a little more angles that you could sort of aim the blade. Because, just having it at the end of your wrist, that only allows for certain motions that can be done. So
mhm.
the fact that they're pulling that back out is like, hey, we're really pulling no punches. And I think another thing that they used in 3 was the rope dart. And they even alluded that that was a weapon that the assassins learned from the Creed in the Far East.
Mm,
So
mm.
the rope dart was the thing where, you could like hang the guards from a tree essentially. Like you would create like a pulley system essentially. You would
Mhm.
grapple the guard with the rope and then fling it over and it would hang him. So these are these are some interesting gadgets, and I think all the callbacks to everything in the series and everything being referenced, and them finally going to a location that's been asked for a long time.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. That trailer. That's well, I mean, all their trailers are beautiful, but that one is really good too.
Absolutely. Remember that the best way to support the channel is to sign up for a membership on the YouTube channel. Members get exclusive channel badges to highlight their continued support over the months and years. As a member, you get access to special emojis expressing a variety of emotions and support for the channel. Members will also receive photo and status updates, early access to select videos, and at higher tiers, access to a members-only Discord channel. Your support is what keeps the Shackcast photography blog and the YouTube channel going. Please like and share the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on a video or a Shackcast episode. Thank you for tuning in. Check out my merch store on Spring. Link is in the description. You'll find apparel, homeware, accessories, pet stuff, and drinkware, all designed around my brand. I'm proud to sport this stuff myself, and I know you will enjoy it as much as I do. Profits from the merch store support the podcast and the YouTube channel. Take a look and see if anything suits you. I have a wide arrangement of colors and sizes, with many designs being rotated in constantly. Listen to the podcast and check in regularly for coupon codes. Thank you for your support. So next, Dragon Age Inquisition Game of the Year Edition is free on the Epic Games Store. Thanks to you for reminding me.
Yeah, of course. Pick that up and it's in the library, and now we have it.
Mm-hmm. Another thing, Hypercharge is coming to Xbox May 31st. If you haven't been keeping up, Hypercharge is a indie game that is made by this developer, and you play as and customize your own action figure, which you pretty much, if you've played Army Men, Sarge's Heroes, or trying to think of other games, like Grounded even, sort of gives you that same feeling. But yeah, you customize your action figure, you break out of your packaging, and is a third-person and first-person shooter, and it focuses on what we've said before, core concepts that we enjoy from video games. Just shooting stuff, It's a multiplayer arena shooter. It's fighting off hordes of enemies. It's co-op. It's PvP. It's everything you want, and it's very simple. It's a developer who said, hey, this is a part of the market that nobody's capitalizing on. I'll do it myself. I'll make the game that I want to make and that I know people will enjoy. So, I mean, it's pulling from G.I. Joe. It's pulling from He-Man, the Thundercats, Like, if you look at all these action figures, like, you'll see something from your childhood, like Dragon Ball Z or whatever it may be, your favorite superhero action figures, the Crash dummies, all that kind of thing. It's really cool. So if you have a chance to check it out or, dig into it, that is called Hypercharge. Any thoughts on that?
Not really, but I think that when I first saw the tweet, I automatically thought about me wanting to get back into comic book stuff. So that's really what took me when I saw that. So, and this is an actual title, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if it involves like shooting things, I may consider.
Absolutely, and it's some of the maps range from like fighting in someone's childhood bedroom to like battling
like
on the toys. Yeah, like little toys just running around in a giant, bedroom arena or a, bathroom or a kitchen, which is what Sarge's Heroes did. You were playing as those little plastic army men, and you were like, running around the toilet bowl shooting other plastic toys, or you're in the, the aisles of your toy store, busting out the packages, shooting each other. it's really cool, and it's capitalizing on something that we don't often see anymore. So
Yeah, now you're gonna have me. Now you're gonna have me look into this thing. Hold
it's good.
on.
Yeah, pull it up, man.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm just gonna fast forward it.
That is Hypercharge.
Yeah. Like toys. I
Yeah,
see it. I see it.
you're a little action figure, and the fact that they let you pick who you want to be and what you want to look like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Next thing I have here on the list, kind of a quick hit here, is the Payday 3 roadmap. Now, Payday 3 came out, and I think it hit some pretty harsh critiques as it did come out. I think a lot of people said, hey, there's only so many maps. The challenge-based progression was not something people enjoyed. So basically, how you level up in the game is you would do challenges. So it's like, I don't know, an example might be like, get 10 headshots with the pistol or whatever. And these things would gate you from leveling up and unlocking new stuff. So a lot of people really didn't like that. So in the next patch, as a part of their roadmap, they're replacing the challenge-based progression. They're going to have masks of the week, rotating loud and stealth modifiers, new heister voiceovers, a techie rollout, which would be like drones and more tech things that would be used in the game, a skill line for the assassin, so that would be like a whole play style that you could pick based around an assassin play style. Coming in game later on will be quick play, post game party up, controller improvements, jumping into the escape ban, an unready button, recurring smaller content drops, rotating stealth modifiers, adaptive armor, medic bag update, skill line, fortitude, shock grenade, skill point increase, skip the mission intro, the cutscene you have to watch every single time you load up a mission, and crash fixes. They've also mentioned that features and time frame are subject to change, but this is our aim. They're very focused in wanting to improve the game and address players' concerns. Obviously, this game is not what Payday 2 was. Payday 2 had 10 years worth of heists and weapons and characters, support, collaborations. It's really hard to do a sequel to that and come in with less content that feels less replayable because the progression is gated behind challenges and stuff like that. So how do you feel about all this?
Yeah, so I really could tear this game apart, but I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to give it grace because the only thing I would look at where it says in-game unready button, I think that's something that should have been available at launch. Now, if I'm understanding what this is, correctly, it's like as you're picking the stuff and everybody says ready, 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 and then someone says unready, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I'm understanding it. And if that's the case, that should have been, released when the game came out.
I would argue the post-game party up would be the same way. Because, like, when you get to the end of the match, what if hey, I really liked playing with you guys. Let's party up. Like, that's so basic. That's... Anyway, go on, please.
Yeah, so, of course, crash fixes, we give grace there because, every game's going to have that. We see that across all the titles that we play, so I'm not going to go too crazy on that. The thing that's interesting now is... whether it's a Payday or any other title, if you admit that you made some mistakes, the people that are playing the game will rally and get back to the game extremely quickly, right? And I think that we've seen that with the Helldivers thing with the PlayStation connection, blah blah blah. We've seen it with that where they were like, okay, we decided we're not going to move forward for what we said we're going to do, right? So we've seen it, right? So I think that with a game like this, that I don't know if it did have server issues or getting into the game type of issues. If it did, like you have to start giving things that people are looking for, because you're going to have those individuals play the game longer in the long term. So you have to play the long game. So even when we look at the title that we're going to talk about later,
Mm-hmm.
They're playing the long game. And I think that all these titles that, do the patches, the skill point stuff, all the things that, they do to keep us interested, it has to be something a little bit more to bring us back. It has to be like a mission. Like
Yes.
for example, this feature list, you have Mask of the Week. I mean, that's great. I mean, we have masks and other titles like Division 2,
Mm-hmm.
right? So mask is not necessarily a new thing, but why does this matter to me as a player? Okay.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
No,
Rotating
it's
allowed modifiers. Okay, maybe that's something that's interesting.
mm-hmm.
The stealth modifiers, maybe that's interesting. But what mission or something that you can introduce? Maybe do like a live stream actually talking about it,
Yeah.
right? Because live streams are, as we know, for as content creators, they're pretty easy to produce. Even when you look at individuals who just press record and they're just a talking head giving you an update, at least let us see that you're sincere about the things that you're getting ready to put out,
Yeah.
right?
That
From
is
a
something they
director.
do, by the way. I
I
just want to
know.
mention. Yeah. And they
Yeah, but
should.
like do it more.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
It's like do it more. Do it enough so we like, okay, hey, this person is going to be the front person, talking to us
Mm.
about, the latest changes, give us a little bit more context of what the skill line thing is, the techie rollout, what is that? And we can see you on a video that's 7 minutes, 8 minutes telling us exactly what's happening. And at least that video can be clipped and it can be put somewhere instead of it's just a graphic on X or just a
Mm.
graphics on Facebook. I think we're looking for the opportunity, forget the ability, the opportunity to see you in the struggle. The same way we saw Sarah Bond stressed out
Oh,
in
yeah.
the recent conversation that she had to have because the company is in a very interesting place. But at least we're seeing that in real time that yes, the answers that she was giving were canned answers, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. But at least we can see that you're stressed out, and this is not where you want the company to be. But my thing is like, was she thrown to the wolves for that? It should have been somebody else, not her doing that.
Mm.
That's my opinion. But anyway,
Mm.
so I'm gonna give grace here. I like Payday,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to see what they do from here.
I agree. It's no joke that I enjoy the game, but yeah, definitely needed some changes in order to pull even me back. I'm a big fan, but a lot of other games are calling my attention, and I mean, if you're delivering a lackluster experience and core features are not there and you're not giving me the replayability that the series is known for, then I don't have much reason to come back.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay, next we've got Starfield's May update. This has been a big one that a lot of people have been waiting for. Like we said, the FPS thing is a big deal, As much as people might like to argue that it's not noticeable or it's not a big deal or no one cares or no one should care, the fact that on console this is going to be able to perform at 60 frames, 4K, and same on PC. All these updates are coming across the board. It improves surface maps, navigation tabs, inventory navigation tabs are improved. New gameplay options in the settings menu, ship decoration mode for the interior of your ships, changing traits and appearance after entering the Unity. That's New Game Plus stuff. Dialogue camera toggle in settings. So what this means is, typically in Bethesda games, when you talk to someone, it goes into like a first-person camera, and you look at who you're talking to. You look at their face. So basically what this toggle will do is allow you to see your character and their character and the environment and just continue the conversation as you would, but without the camera, kind of doing that classic Bethesda thing of just honing in on someone's face. So it could be for situational awareness. It could be just kind of good to have a conversation while you enjoy the game world without being, laser focused in on someone's face. Display settings for Xbox Series X to prioritize visuals or performance and more. Link is in the description to the full update if you guys want to dive deeper on that. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a game that I need to revisit. I really liked what I first saw, with Starfield when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
It After all the marketing and all the advertising thing was done, the game was out. It got pretty quiet, and I
Yeah.
think that we have to be honest about that. So hopefully this update, very similar to the stuff that we were just talking about Payday, I'm going to give a little bit of grace here because I think that the amount of time that it takes to even do updates, right? I don't have any knowledge in, but I'm sure it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So to get to this display settings, for Xbox Series X to prioritize visuals or performance, I think that's a good thing. So what I will do is re-download it to see, what that looks like, and just in general. Yes, I'm on PC, but I really want to go back and just kind of, walk around and experience Starfield just to get an idea of where the game is at right now, right? So I think that's important to do. But no, I don't think I have anything bad to say about the title. I mean, it's a beautiful, title if you're into
Mm-hmm.
exploration and stuff like that. So go definitely do that.
I think regardless of the platform, you're going to see improvements that were not there before. So the fact that they didn't just give up on the game, they're focusing, buckling down on it. Of course, they have the Shattered Space DLC expansion that's, bound to be revealed and, put out into the world at some point. But I think you need to sort of have done this work where you stabilize the game and make sure everybody's happy and the experience is good across the board and that everything can be experienced the way you intend it to be.
Yeah. So when was the last time you loaded in Starfield?
Ooh, let me check. Cause I'm a big fan and all, and I was loving it, and I was like 80, 90 hours in.
Okay.
I loaded that back in October, so it was really, for me, it was more like a new game came out, another new game came out, and it was like I knew going back to Starfield was like, hey, it's an 80 plus hour game. Like I'm nowhere near done. I was just getting into like base building and I got like a massive ship that I was customizing. So I was deep into a lot of things. But there were other games that I could pick up and play and enjoy the experience and sort of come back to Starfield. And I also, knowing that there would be updates and performance increases, I figured, I'll tune back in as soon as the experience is even better than it already is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair.
That's how I feel.
That's fair. Yeah, I haven't loaded it since maybe like a couple of months after launch.
Yeah.
But it'll be a definitely good thing to go back and revisit, see what's going on.
One thing I want to quickly add in is that Square Enix announced this week that they will aggressively pursue multi-platform strategy in company reboot. So previously, they would sort of release a lot of games mostly to the PlayStation platform, like Final Fantasy VII's remakes, Final Fantasy 16, would all be PlayStation exclusives, and often that was something that PlayStation would, hey, offer them the exclusivity deal for some amount of money, of course, not to have these games on Xbox or the Nintendo Switch, but especially Xbox. So them realizing that, hey, we should sell our games everywhere, because there are some games that they either publish or make themselves that they do sell everywhere. When they own Tomb Raider, when they own Crystal Dynamics, who made Tomb Raider, and Marvel's Avengers, dozens of other games, right? They would be multi-platform, and it's, some Final Fantasy games even are multi-platform, but it's been the more recent ones and some of the ones that people are dying to play, like 7, such a big deal that they're remaking this series. Having that landlocked on one platform and then porting it to PC years later and then still not being playable elsewhere. And they're having to redefine the company. So that means layoffs are probably incoming. So what do you think about all this?
Yeah, so I remember there was a time where if we wanted to play a game, we had to go to a platform, right, to play it. And then now we're seeing, titles like Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and you can go down the list. Ever since the lockup, if you will. A lot of these titles started coming out on PC. It just makes sense. The more places you have your product, the more opportunity you have for sales. Like this is not a big announcement, okay?
Yeah.
This is not revolutionary in any way, okay?
Yeah.
It just makes sense if you're able to support it in such a way where you have your product in multiple places for eyes to see it. It may be a good thing for you. And I think that we're seeing that with PlayStation making a move to put a lot of their titles on PC, and we've seen a lot of their major titles go. We're just waiting for Spider-Man to be there, the other one, the
Spider-Man
latest one,
2,
right?
yeah. Right?
Yeah, so at some point it's gonna be there, right? But the thing is, you keep it on your store for some time, but just as someone who's like selling product, that the more places it's at, the better for you, right?
Yeah.
Over time, especially if you don't have to do like a lot of inventory per se, right? They're just doing a cut. A lot. We're in a digital world, so you're not necessarily saying, "Hey, I want you to take these crates, these pallets,
Yeah.
okay, of Ghost of Tsushima, and I want you to bring them to Best Buy." We're not doing that.
No.
Okay, we're in a digital world, okay, and everything is being converted to that. So I think it's a good move for companies to consider where other individuals want to play their titles, and the happy we are, they play happy music in stores for a reason. They want you to be happy to buy. That's not random, okay?
Ah, I see. Okay.
It's not random. So yeah, I think this is a good move for them, but it's not revolutionary.
It makes sense, man. It took them long enough too. I feel like it was a mistake that they had to learn over and over. Like, and Square Enix has done this for ages. They've said our games are underperforming. Even the Tomb Raider games, the Avengers, even games that were like critically acclaimed, even the Deus Ex games, which were critically acclaimed. All these games that I've named, they sell decently well, and some of them sell millions upon millions. But to Square, I don't know where their barometer is on where they say, like, okay, this is doing well. Like, do they expect every game to be $1 billion Final Fantasy, mainline release here? Because they're saying that even some of the recent Final Fantasies didn't live up to their expectations. I think maybe they need to calibrate their expectations accordingly. But it's also harder to do that when you're only selling on certain platforms and not everywhere.
Interesting. Yeah, but I think it's a good thing for them.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a good thing for them, or any company that decides to say, "Hey, you know what? I don't want my game to only be on Game Pass. I want it to be other places too." So.
And a second thing to mention, Ghost of Tsushima is out on Steam as of today.
Yeah.
So it is available. Mostly positive reviews so far. You do require a PSN account in order to play the multiplayer, the co-op stuff. But for the single player, you can just play the game offline or without linking a PSN account. But you notice they put that disclaimer a little higher up on the Steam page. It's like it's right under like the trailers and the pictures and all that. Whereas previously they put it under the controller support, single player game, that side panel on the right. And that's the reason why a lot of people didn't notice it with Helldivers 2. But this time they're like, hey, we're learning from our mistake. But why are they still trying to do this? Why are they still trying to get us to log in to PlayStation Network to play a PlayStation game online on PC?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird.
We'll see.
It's weird, man. It's weird. I don't need to log in. Listen, I'm logging into Steam. The first thing I install, when I start putting everything back on the PC, I install Steam. I install, Firefox, Google Chrome. The things that you install, Discord. Logitech G Hub. Shout outs to them. It's like CapCut. I need to edit stuff.
Yes.
Audacity. You know what I'm saying? Like you go with the go-tos that are like the gems, to have on your machine. But there's no reason for me to like log into PlayStation right now. I don't play any PlayStation titles right now.
Okay.
If the PC If PlayStation is going to bring a title to PC, I just wait. I mean, I didn't rush to go out and play Ghost of Tsushima. Now I'm like, okay, now I know where it is, and if there's a discount or something like that, I could just pick it up. I know where it's at now, where
Does
I
it
play.
does it bother you when PlayStation, Xbox, Rockstar, EA, Ubisoft, does it bug you when they ask you to log into your account before you play the game? Whether it's on Steam or Epic or whatever app?
Well, if I'm logging in to play the game there,
Yeah.
no. But if I'm already have the game somewhere else and it's almost like a tracker. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand that like it makes sense for me to log into Ubisoft Connect to play Division.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But for Steam to say, hey, I need you to like, log in there before you play Division on Ubisoft Connect, that doesn't make sense. It's like it doesn't why do I need another handshake when where I need to play it? If Ubisoft Connect is where Division 2 is, that's where I'm going. I'm logging into that. And that should be final. So it's almost like we need to gauge how much individuals are playing a particular title to decide if we want to bring the title there or not. Maybe. That's just my opinion. I don't know if it's, but it's another tracker. It's a metric, and the metric is for something, right? And my thing is, I play pretty much every title on Steam.
Okay.
Right? So like, let me look at my Steam right
Reference
now.
to Steam, sure.
Finals, Spider-Man, Apex, I have downloaded on here. Streets of Rage, Everspace 2, God of War, Hellblade. Of course, Hellblade 2 is going to be on Game Pass, so I'll play it there. That makes sense, for me to play it right away. Payday 2 is on here. Payday 3 is on Epic Store, I believe. So like most of my titles are on here. Titanfall 2, Tomb Raider, Warframe, Warhammer. There's no need for me to go log into Microsoft and then come here to play the title. It's weird.
It's an extra step.
It's weird.
But okay, but put yourself in their shoes. You would like to know the tracking information of your products, right?
Yeah, but there's other ways that you can get that information.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you had to pay, let's say once a year to get that data from Steam, I don't know if you have to pay or not, but like Steam database shows you the concurrence of the players that are playing the game.
Yeah.
So then the metric is already available to you. You just want it to like your own process, right? Because if we can actually look up the concurrence of the individuals playing Helldivers, playing Destiny 2 or Warframe or whatever, and we could say, well, only 4,500 people are playing Paladins. You can't say it's better than Overwatch. Well, if we can say that, right? Then what is the reason for me to double log in? That's the case that I'm trying to make. If I can look up, Paladins right now and say that's only 3,500 to like 4,500 people playing it, and then at the height of let's say June 4th, Destiny 2 is going to be close to 300,000 people playing it. If we're going to be honest, moderately maybe 250K, right? If we know these numbers, that these individuals are going to flock to this particular platform to play an action RPG, okay? So Sony, if you release an action RPG, you know that you're going to get individuals interested in it on another platform because you could see the metric of Destiny or any other action RPG on there that are getting the numbers.
Absolutely.
So to me, it doesn't make sense. It's a metric that they want to funnel their own way. I get it. To bring them into a product suite, potentially selling, their products through PlayStation Store. I get that, from a business standpoint. But it's not a necessary metric for a consumer because the consumer only want to play their games. That's all we want.
That's all we want. Yeah.
We just want to play the game. So I think it's a metric that's, ideal or potentially essential for them. But because, the democracy is still a thing, you do something crazy, we're going to review bomb your game.
We're going to check you.
That's what the people said, right? And they were like, oh, by the way, we're not going to do that anymore. We saw how you responded because, years ago, we didn't have X. We didn't have any of these platforms to share our, disappointment or disgust, right, for companies making certain decisions. But now we're like, oh, that's how you feel? Okay, gang, let's go to Review Bomb, right?
Yeah, and they're ready to do it again at a moment's notice, right? Like
Right.
they'll rally the troops if one thing comes to their displeasure, you know?
Exactly. And that's the power of voting, with your wallet and literally voting, on platforms like a Steam or places where your game can either be the greatest thing that ever came out or it could die the same day.
Yeah, absolutely. Now with Xbox, there's two ways Xbox does it. They have their own launcher, right? Where you can access Game Pass and the games you own, and you could play Halo through that, and you would log into your Xbox account, blah blah blah. If you own Halo, say on Steam, you load up Halo. It doesn't open the Xbox launcher, but it often will ask you, like, hey, do you have an Xbox account? Because, like, you're going to sign in, you're going to play Halo with your gamer tag or whatever.
Right.
So should PlayStation have their own launcher? Or will they have their own launcher, regardless of whether you like it or not?
I thought they did. Why? Or is it only for the cloud thing that they have their own launcher?
Oh yeah, that might be for that, but I don't know that they've made a launcher where it's like, I don't know if that would.
It's an interesting thing, right? So I do understand, like, in order for you to find my stuff, right? So one of the things that they did, as you know, years ago, is they were like, okay, hey, Destiny is doing the migration stuff, so at some point you're going to need to do the login for you to access your account everywhere, the cross-save, across platform stuff, right?
Yeah.
So now I just do one login, and then I can, pretty much access all my stuff everywhere, with the exception of the DLCs, because if I bought the DLCs on one platform, which is Steam, I'm not going to see the DLCs on Xbox, but I could still play the game, and I could still see my character, and I could still see, my level and all that stuff. So I think, that for tracking your created character makes sense.
That would be the perk. Yeah. Would be to move your cross-save data over like we did with Destiny, right?
But it didn't sound like that's what the reason was for this Helldivers thing.
No, it wasn't.
And that's my thing, right?
There is no cross-save. I have it on PS5 and PC. I have two separate characters on each account. It's a bummer, but that's the way it works. Yeah.
So I can play Helldivers with you while I'm on PC.
Yeah, we can play it regardless.
Okay,
it's
so there's
cross-play.
But
it's cross-play, okay. No cross-save. No
cross-save. Okay, yeah. Right. So, and that's the thing. So because it wasn't something that was pertaining to that, the individuals who are passionate in that community, they decided to review bomb and say it doesn't make sense for us to do that.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why they got the backlash that they got. I think the community manager got some backlash too. Don't quote me on that. But it was really bad for those 2-3 days before they announced, hey, by the way, we're not going to move forward with this thing, but they're still going to do it. There was another title that they mentioned that they're going to do it with.
Ghost.
Someone pointed out to me
Ghost
that
of
it's
Tsushima.
not a live. Ghost of Tsushima, right? Yeah. But someone pointed out to me that's not a live action. It's not a live service game, so it wasn't
not
that
as big of a
deal. But if it was, the review bomb gang, okay,
they would be there
over there right now, right, on the day of launch, right?
I'm surprised they're not, man. I'm honestly surprised.
Listen, man, I think the things that we really care about, you're going to see, especially on the X platform, people respond to immediately, and we see how they do it, man. Like, there's a gang waiting. Just don't make anybody upset. Just do what you're supposed to do. Give us the experiences that we want. And even with multiverses coming back out really soon, if they do something crazy in there with Joker or any other character that they plan to release in the future, they're going to say something about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Wow. Another big thing, you can preload Ubisoft's XDefiant today. I believe it's like 35 gigs on all platforms.
Yep.
So get it preloaded if you're interested in jumping in. I think we're going to give it a go just to kind of see what it's like, and who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna give it a go. I did download it. I did preload. It was at 30 point something gigs.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so I'm ready to go. Once they launch it, I will see what the title's about. I'm gonna give it a chance. I gave Finals a chance. I'm gonna give this a chance, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Absolutely. I'm excited because, it links the Tom Clancy stuff from Splinter Cell to Ghost Recon to the Division, right? It's got like the
Mm.
cleaners and all the different clans and groups. And they're going to add more as they go, So probably tie in with Rainbow Six and
Mhm.
Assassin's Creed and, just every Ubisoft thing of just giving all these guys guns and putting them in an arena.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it took some time to even get here. They delayed it a couple of times, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
It's had its ups and downs, but I really want to check it out.
same.
I really want to check it out.
I'm hoping all that play testing and all those ups and downs have led to what could be a smooth launch or as smooth as a launch is nowadays.
100%.
Interesting. Our biggest topic today is Destiny 2 because I think we both have some very exciting news relating to the final shape that will be coming to both of our channels. Would you like to tell us what that is?
Yeah, so we were sitting here minding our business, one day, and we actually got an email,
Mm-hmm.
from a marketing agency that is working directly with Bungie, and they gave us the final shape, DLC to enjoy once it releases in June. So hashtag Bungie Creator
Yeah.
type of vibes, so we're excited about that. So thank you, Bungie, thank you Destiny team for believing in our content. And I don't know how you found our information, but I'm glad that you did because we love the game. So yeah, so super excited about that, and even all the updates that they've been doing prior to even getting the email that we're going to have the opportunity to play the title on launch day. They've been doing some incredible changes, man.
Absolutely.
Great.
So they gave us a complimentary copy of the final shape along with the annual pass, which gives us the final shape expansion, the new raid, the episodes, which are post-launch content after the final shape, which there are 3 episodes: Echoes, Revenant, and Heresy, and these will come out over 2025, I believe, right? Like over the next year.
Yeah, over time
Um,
for sure.
the final shape dungeon key, tessellation, exotic fusion rifle, and ornament. 3 secret stashes, which will appear in each episode, and then of course we're now hashtag Bungie creators. Um, these are all things, of course, that you can get yourself. You can purchase the game and you'll get the same things. We're not getting something that no one else is getting. But yeah, if you purchase the season pass, if you purchase the final shape, so that just really shows that we're going to be able to do full coverage of this exciting expansion, and I am also humbled that they found us, and we've been talking about this game since probably the Destiny 1 alpha, like since I play tested that, and I was like, okay, this looks like Borderlands meets like Halo and like some space magic stuff, and I was like, I'm in. This is so fun.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I kind of know how they found us.
Hmm.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Okay. So when I was looking at the email, I saw the marketing agency, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, okay, well, I've never heard of them before. How on earth can they get my information? And
Yeah,
I realized that we both have our emails and our X profiles.
we do.
That just makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I know that people have said in the past, make sure you have your emails there. And here I'm looking at the email up and down thinking it's a spam email, looking at
No,
the
dude, I thought it
string
was
of,
crazy. I was like, no, who's trying to fake me out
yeah.
here and give me my dream come true?
Yeah, for sure, man. So I think that's, one way they probably crawled the X platform and say, hey, we're individuals who are playing our game or who've mentioned us before, somewhat regularly, and then let's see if there's a contact information for them. And then
Hmm.
from there, they pulled the trigger and they contacted us, individually, And a lot of folks were just, surprised that they even got it too. But I realized that all the people who started talking about it on social are people who are actively playing the game already. So it makes sense.
Okay, so not just blindly marketing to, the biggest creators who may not even play Destiny or have never played Destiny before. They were rather trying to look for people that are going to give them honest opinions and people that have experience with the game, Not that
Yeah.
they're only selling to the fans, but if it's gonna be bad, we're gonna be harsh, we're gonna be real, about it,
Yeah.
regardless,
Yeah, for sure. Like honest opinions, man. Like hunters are the best. I mean, that's an honest opinion. And I think that what, you don't
That's
agree with
crazy,
that?
man. This guy's wild.
You don't
Yeah.
agree with that?
This
I,
guy, the comments are gonna be on fire. There's gonna be hunters. There's gonna be titans. There's gonna be warlocks. We're all gonna
it's
be.
it's an honest opinion, man. Like
That's
it
crazy.
is what it is. But yeah, I'm excited, man. Like I said earlier, 1,600 plus hours in a game that we've been playing since the beta.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and last night we were doing the exotic mission, the node override Avalon, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
secret mission. And I was like, hey, man, I need some help with this mission. And this mission wasn't incredible, man. It was the first time, that I was playing it. I know you checked it out before, but it was the first time I was playing it. And the game just offers so many different things that you can appreciate, whether you're walking around or doing
Mm-hmm.
a strike, playing PvP, or just shooting arrows in the sky at stars, right? Whatever you decide to do, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It has it. Somehow it has it. You fishing, it has it, man. It's just incredible.
There's so much this game has, and we've been playing it for so long across 2 games, multiple expansions, raids and strikes and crucible maps. How many quests we've done, how many exotics we've unlocked over the years, how many faction rallies that we've done. So many incredible experiences, Gambit, everything that has been provided over the past 10 years is building up to some sort of epic moment here with the final shape. And it's not really even the end, because, they already have these episodes planned, so, it seems like we're building up to an Avengers Endgame level moment here, but at the same time, it's like, hey, yeah, we're going to probably keep trucking after that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to these dude, like my exotic folder, because I know we were talking about it yesterday. My
Yeah.
exotic folder is like full. I can't do any more quests until I get rid of some quests.
Yeah.
And I don't want to abandon anything because I know there's a lot of weapon that I still want to get. And most of my weapon choices, pulse rifles, that's my favorite. So yeah,
Absolutely.
so I'm gonna be going through some of those, quest slots and trying to clear up some stuff. But this is a game that we are going to play for a long time.
We are. And I think what's so cool about that quest log, that massive backlog that both of us have, because at times we've loved the game, and at other times there have been expansions or changes that have had us like, all right, I think I'll sit this out for a little while. I got to play this other game or whatever. But we come back and we see that quest log, and we're like, oh, here's that exotic we didn't get. Let's go try to get it tonight, right? Like so that's what's so exciting to the game to me now is it's not just that I'm enjoying what's happening in the moment and what's coming in the future, but I still have these backlogs of quests that are it's fun to just pull one up one day and be like, yeah, let's get it done. And then we get it done, we get that item, and that item helps us in a future quest. We say, "Oh yeah, I've got this item. That'll help us defeat these enemies doing this thing on this planet at this location." That we have to do this little dance and enter the passcode and get through the door by defeating all these enemies or whatever.
Mm. Yeah, I'm going back in. I'm going to jump back in. I'm going to see what I want to work on. If there's any other missions, I know we were trying to consider like some quest line that I don't know, dude. There's so much that you need to do in this game. It never ends, man. And that's why we love it. That's
I
why we
think
love it.
that's the
And at the
beauty.
core,
Yeah.
yeah, at the core of it, multiplayer experience has always been good in
Hmm.
terms of connection. In terms of connection, I
Yeah.
know they've gone up and down with things like weapon balancing and stuff like that, which they recently put out a post about weapons that are going to get balanced. They put out PvP maps. They have new the prismatic stuff, and all that stuff coming out. Dude, like it's a lot. It's a lot. They got the comic that released, to give a history of Destiny. I thought that was very, very well done. Okay, because I'm reading through that particular comic. So,
Hmm.
Mitoro is an animator, a Japanese webcomic artist, and they did a history of Destiny in that art style, if you will. And to me, that's like classic. If that exists as a comic book, I may have to pick it up. So, but yeah, it's a
Beautiful.
lot of good stuff, man. Destiny talk is gonna happen, often. I did post a clip from the stuff that we did yesterday,
Hmm.
for that particular quest, and yeah, it was a little tough. It was a little tough, you know. And what's interesting, I remember the first time we went into that room. Well, actually, I couldn't go in. The first time you went into that room, we were like, all right, peace, guy, see you next time, right? Because I could do
Uh-huh.
that during that time. The first time I went in recently, I couldn't find the spot, but it was just like this little crevice
Yeah.
on the left side that turned out to be this big, gigantic basement of a world. Okay.
Yep.
But it's right after those, what do you call those flying things that shoots at you? I can't think of the name of them right now. It's right after you shoot those two things. It's right on the left side.
Hmm.
And you go down the corridor or whatever, and then this whole place just opens up, right? The first time I went in, it didn't make sense. I was like, you know what? Let me just go in and just walk a little bit slower,
Yeah.
right? And I think once I did that, I was able to find the spot. And I was like, hey, man, I'm down here. I got a rally banner. Yeah, you got time?
I think that's my favorite thing about this game is like you can literally just DM, someone and they're like, "Oh, it's time to answer the call." Like I'm a guardian, like I'm willing to help anyone out at any time and we've done that back and forth for each other over the years. I've called on Andrew. I've been like, "Hey man, I got to get, 50 headshots in the Crucible. I need somebody watching my back." So we got to get in and unlock that exotic weapon. So, that teamwork, that synergy, that community, just the way the community behaves in that game, where it's like you go into the LFG thing and you calibrate your settings. Here's the activity I need to do. I need an experienced guardian. I would prefer a hunter or a titan with this, and this. You can select all those parameters, and it really helped me get through a lot of like dungeons and raids and things that I had never done before that I was able to do recently because I was able to like call upon not only my friends, but also reach out to the community at large, which is largely willing to help you. Like most people, there's some people that are going to talk down to you and treat you badly and be toxic in these activities. But, there's more often than not, I would say, through the LFG feature, people are just going to jump in, even if they don't have a mic. Like, they'll jump in and they'll equip their build, and you'll look at what they're rocking, and you'll just be like, wow, this guy's in another world with what weapons he's rocking. That's fully got the gold trim around the icon. Like they leveled it up, and their armor's fully specced out. Everything's max. Like they have the rarest raid weapons in the game, and they're coming to help you do a little old strike mission so you can unlock a new gun.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, lots to do, man.
You said
Lots
it
to do.
yesterday. Destiny is better with friends, and I think that's always been true.
100%. 100%.
And I
And
think,
I think
yeah, go ahead.
no, I think that it's designed, that way. And I think as much
Absolutely.
as individuals can do stuff solo, it just makes it easier to, appreciate the win, and even, the respawn sessions in the game, much more interesting, right? much more memorable.
Yeah, being able to go through those events with friends, the camaraderie that comes through that, and I think that's the big thing I'll never forget is a lot of times I'll never forget where I was or what I was doing the first time I beat the Vault of Glass, like who was in that team, the first time I did this Nightfall or the multitude of times that we've done activities over and over. Like I'll never forget stuff like that. The friends you met along the way, whether they're still with you today or they've passed on or they've moved on in various ways, like the experiences and the memories that we have with this game, I don't think any other game has delivered in that way.
Nope, not in this live service, genre, but definitely, we have memories from like Contra and of course Metal Gear and things that we say from those titles.
Yeah.
Of course, Turtles and Manhattan Project or other titles that Mario, of course, right? Mario, of course, and Mario 2, which has some memorable moments and stuff. But in the live service genre, Destiny is the king.
There's memories, there's nostalgia, but with this game, there's a special combination of all of it that combines it with your friends that we have memories of doing all sorts of things together throughout this experience. I don't know, it brought a tear to my eye. I'm a little sentimental about this stuff, but I, just looking back at all that and then realizing that, through this press company that Bungie has noticed us and seen the dedication that we put into this game. We've talked about it on hundreds of podcasts over the years with each other and without each other, back and forth. We've talked about it with other people. We've been parts of different groups, and we've been a part of this community throughout all these years, and to kind of be recognized and to see all these moments that we've had together culminate in this final shape. It's truly moving. So I'm honest here that I was I was a little bit in tears when I'm reading that email, also thinking it was a fraud at first, but then once I realized, like, oh, this might be real, like, this link might be good, I'm typing it in right now. They said I own the final shape, like, this is,
yeah,
they found my little old channel, like.
Yeah, man, even in the process of redeeming it, I'm like, okay, so I do have a redemption code. I'm gonna put it in Steam, and then I'm like, oh, okay. I said, let me go to the game itself to see. Let me go to Eververse to see if it says owned, because you have the section in Eververse. I'm like, oh, this is so crazy, but I'm excited, man. I think that the game is evolving and is continuing to give us a lot of good things. Now, one of the things that I'm really excited about is some weapons that we have in the vault, or we've had in the vault, that are going to go up to the current base level in June, right? So for example, I kept some interesting weapons in the vault, right? So bygones, I kept.
Yep,
right?
Me too.
I kept bygones. Now there's this one weapon here, which we don't hear a lot about, but I did keep, called the Marine. I kept that.
I remember the Marine.
Yeah. So there's a lot of gems in here that I'm looking forward to seeing their power level go up to like the base level. Even Redrick's broadsword I kept.
Yeah.
So there's some classics in there that I'm looking forward to.
Dude, they really sunset so many guns, but now they're sunsetting the sunsetting. So sunset is no longer happening.
Exactly.
So all these guns that I've kept over the years, and everybody's made fun of me. They said, Aaron, you're not going to need those guns. Look at those guns. They're grayed out. They don't do damage anymore. Finally,
exactly.
I'm going to have this armory of weapons that are going to be useful now, and I'm going to be going through those perks and saying, like, oh, this hidden gem that I've had since, year one of Destiny 2, like, it's going to be viable now, and like I've had this demon in my vault this entire time, and it's wrecking in PvP. That's going to redefine the experience, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Even inaugural address,
good one, such a good one.
I can't wait.
And all the secret hidden weapons that you and I have enjoyed over the years, some of our favorite pulse rifles that are often looked over, you know?
Yeah, three graves,
Shunned.
man. We're bringing that back.
3 graves. Oh my god.
Yeah, so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, heading into, different parts of the world of Destiny and just enjoying the game, man. Just enjoying the game, and a lot of good weapons are out now. We have like Recluse, and we
Mm-hmm.
have, um, I mean, there's
Mountaintops
so many,
back. Yeah.
there's so many good weapons coming back, man. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Here's something interesting, and I want to get your take on this. But with the new Into the Light expansion, they brought Onslaught, which revives a lot of classic weapons. It brings a lot of new weapons into the realm, right? And we're going to get access to things like the Blast Furnace, the Recluse, the Mountaintop, blah, 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 name it. And it's also leading into the fact that Final Shape is sort of going to go, hey, subclasses don't really, like subclasses and even classes of like the Hunter, Titan, Warlock almost don't even matter, because there are certain abilities that you can get where I, as a Warlock, could all of a sudden, throw the Hunter blades around and light people up, or a Titan could all of a sudden throw a Nova Bomb. Like, that unpredictability, it almost feels like they want to break the game now. Like, they're giving us all the broken weapons. They're letting the Guardians and the classes that once separated us, and where you could once call out, like, hey, there's a Sentinel Titan over there, he's coming down the middle of this PvP map. You could have those call outs, where now it's just going to be chaos, because anyone could be wielding anything, doing, any sort of abilities on top of that. And beyond that, I think we saw them using multiple exotics in one build. Like, we saw someone was using the heavy shotgun that blasts people back. What was that one called? It's a big white thing. It looks like a portal gun. The tractor cannon. So yeah, they were using that, and like another weapon. I don't remember what it was. Maybe the Suros regime or something. They were using both of those in the same build, and I was like, that's something we've talked about since Destiny 1. We were like, what if they made an activity that was so difficult that they would actually let us wield multiple exotics? Because that used to be a thing where it was like, you get one exotic weapon and one exotic armor piece. We're never going to let you break that rule. So, like, why would that rule get broken now? Why are they choosing to literally break the game in every way? Like, PvP is going to change a lot because of this. I think the entire game is going to change because of the choices they're making here. So this, to me, could be really devastating. It could ruin the game. It could be like, but it's such a big payoff and such a big moment that it almost seems like they don't care. And I'm not critiquing this in a negative way. I'm just kind of explaining it as, it could be this, it could be that. It could be the most incredible decision they've ever made. And I'm leaning more towards that. But I am worried. I'm in the background. I'm concerned that, like, wow, this could lead to PvP being a disaster, like when they first released Stasis, and, you're getting frozen in the Crucible and you can't do anything. I was like, I don't think I want to play. That doesn't sound like fun to me. But what's your take on all this complete breaking of the game?
That it's the breaking of the game. We actually saw a preview of when they allowed the bug of the vault being in orbit a thing. That was the beginning, right? So once we saw that you can access your vault while you're in orbit, and they said, hey, we noticed that a lot of people started using this thing, we're actually going to leave it in. So having the ability to do that without necessarily going to the tower became a quality of life feature for individuals to do. So I think that from there, I mean, everything is fair game now, right? So you break it enough where we're like, oh, okay, this is too overpowered, and you scale it back. But the fact that it is going to be part of the experience in the game, it really levels out all the players, and it gives you the opportunity to learn what your class can really do, right? Because there's enough videos, right? There's enough guides, if you will, to say if you pair this, that, and that, your guardian will do this, right? So I think it not only takes you out of the game, but it pulls you back into the game experience as well. So I think that the initial launch pad of that, in my opinion, was when we saw the broken vault access during orbit was a thing. And then from there, I was like, hey, might as well just give them what they want. And that's what we want.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy, dude. I can't believe that they're doing it. And it's so ambiguous of them to just take all the gloves off, dude.
It's going to make you chase a lot of things, too.
It is. And, I mean, it's like Cap wielding Mjolnir. Like, all the rules that we thought were not possible, everything that was, all the precedent that was set, you know, our guardians are mastering the light and the darkness in a new way. You remember how they showed it in that, what was it? That gameplay showcase that they did for the new expansion, the final shape.
Up to
they were showing like, hey, you could wield multiple, you know, void and solar at the same time, and put out different abilities. And when your bar fills up all the way for both of those, you get to do all sorts of cool stuff. Like, that's so incredible that they. And like you said, I think you said something really profound last night as we were talking about Destiny. And it was a little controversial, but then you hit like a real raw point of like, they had to go back to formula. They had to go away from the mistakes of Lightfall and get into what would now be like the secret sauce that Destiny has always been, and what we've always wanted from the game, and what they're about to deliver, which is a slam dunk, right?
Yeah, so without telling the joke that we told last, you know, because some people wouldn't be able to handle it because of the era that we're living in, right?
Don't let them clip it out of context, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they'll take it out of context for real. So sometimes our greatest accomplishments and ideas come from our greatest pain. I'll say it that way, right? And I think that when you look at how Lightfall was received versus the air that is surrounding Destiny now, present day, you know, 5.16, it's totally different. It's night and day. You can go back to the air that surrounded Destiny before the Taken King, night and day, right? So I think that when you look at the journey that when you put Destiny on a timeline, you could see where they were like, okay, gone too far, come back, gone too far, come back. Going independent, nope, not independent anymore, right? So we see the waves of those particular decisions, but now we're at a place where find whatever you can to keep this lightning in a bottle. That's your only mission right now. Is everyone seems to be really happy. You're bringing back things that we've loved, and you're adding new perks to them. You got 0 Hour. You have the sniping mission, right? I think that's back, right? You have, like you said, Blast Furnace and all these Recluse and Luna's Howl and all those things that we have now. Just keep doing the thing that keeps the lightning in the bottle. No one will be upset. Once you veer from that, like you did in Lightfall and some of the other things that we didn't like previously, that's when it becomes an issue. Can you imagine like going into this final shape, not pushing it back, and going into the final shape right after Lightfall? It would be a disaster.
Yeah, I think if it had launched at the initial date, which we would probably be playing it now or within a few days or something, I think that would have been a mistake, because Lightfall it did the Infinity War thing. Like, we lose at the end of the expansion, and it also feels like we lost as players. Like, there were a lot of negatives about that expansion that we paid money for to get into, and, you know, the state of the game was not where it is right now. So them taking that time to focus on the health of the game, which is something Rainbow Six did. They've done their health updates for Rainbow Six Siege. dozens of other games have realized that this is something that you just have to do, especially with live service games. And the fact that Destiny had that foresight, the people at Bungie realized, like, oh, we cannot give the single most important update that we've done in 10 years. Like, we cannot drop the final shape, the most anticipated thing that's going to bring every player back that's ever played or even thought about Destiny. It's going to bring new players that are curious, because everyone's wondering what this moment is going to be. Mm-hmm. So you can't do anything less than a slam dunk. So this would not be the time to take penalty shots and miss, which is exactly what the problem would have been had they launched it as intended without all the changes they made. And I'm actually really impressed, because Into the Light, for me, came out of nowhere, and I think it delivered better than Lightfall did in some ways. Like, it's delivered so much value in something that's so simple. And I know people are going to argue, they're going to say these are recycled environments. They just took Crucible maps and they sliced them up and added things. But I mean, it takes work to do those various things. But it shows what you can do when you have the right idea, and you just sprinkle a little bit of the secret sauce in there. You don't have to create a whole new world where you go inside a gaming PC to shoot a bunch of, a bunch of little things in there, You don't have to do what Lightfall did to be great. Sometimes it's just reinventing your existing world and delivering on promises and bringing back things that we thought were gone and reversing some of the most controversial changes that even pulled me away from Destiny. When they sunset stuff, that was a personal insult to me, because that was like, hey, I spent 3 years, setting up this library of weapons that I have. I invested time in these armor perks and these weapons and getting the right roll, and the fact that I'd spent so many hours of Gambit or Crucible to get this weapon and get these perks, and I'm so excited, and it's a god roll, and now it's useless? Like, that's telling me you don't value my time. So if you don't value my time, I don't value being a member of this game or this community. You know what I mean? So reversing that was huge.
They even said that if there was a way for them to help us bring back some of the weapons that we discarded from the vault, they would. But since they can't do that, the next best thing is to do what they're doing right now. We're getting new versions of weapons that we appreciated over the years. So I think it's a good play, and it's a good play for me because they're going back to what made them great. So it's exciting times for Destiny, for sure.
So once again, it's kind of hammering home the initial point that we've hit this entire podcast and in previous ones. People don't want anything new. With respect, nope. There are some things where we like some new concepts here and there, but in general, we just wanted you to give us Destiny 1 again, but better, with more of the things we want, more fleshed out. Throw some creativity, throw some new ideas in, sure. But you guys stick with what works, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Any final thoughts on Destiny 2, the final shape, the whole story so far, and our experience with it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's free. Go try it. I think that is an incredible world that if you have not tried it yet, but you're looking for an action RPG to consider, it's free to play. Definitely give it a shot.
And we'll be here for you if you have questions, concerns, comments, anything involving this game. We've talked about it for years. You can look to both of our channels for content relating to the game, past, present, and future. I think we're both excited to dive into the final shape. And once again, we're appreciative to Bungie and all the outlets here for this opportunity to be able to cover this final shape. Very excited about it.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. But thanks, man. Always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, thank you for jumping on. I really needed your thoughts. I needed you to kind of bounce off a bunch of stuff, and I know you're very passionate about Destiny and our experience with it. And I think you bring out a good conversation and a lot of contention back and forth with all these various issues that we've talked about today. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you being a part of the journey, both with Destiny. I think it's been incredible that we've been through that game, and we've been through so much together in that game and outside of that game world. So I just want to thank you for being there. That's incredible of you.
No, I appreciate it. No, thank you for all your help as well. I really do appreciate that. And it's a beautiful, beautiful journey. And the fact that the game created such a big world to bring people together, to do things together, I think that is fantastic. And there's a few of games like that out there too. Of course, you know, gotta give shout out to Warframe and Borderlands and some of those titles too. So definitely appreciate the journey.
I don't think there's many worlds, there's definitely a few, like you said, where people like us would have met. Otherwise, two of us on opposite sides of the same country, we might never meet on the street, we might never meet at a conference or have any sort of similar circles. Even in the vastness of the gaming world, if we were playing Halo matches or whatever, we might never meet. Or if we did, it would just be a brief interaction of someone shot the other guy in a multiplayer match. But the fact that we were able to meet throughout such an experience as Destiny, that's nothing short of, you know, something really extraordinary there. And that's cultivated into us being so good to each other over the years. And, you know, being someone that we can trust in each other's corner and to tell each other the honest truth whenever one of us is slipping up, or to say, hey man, you sure about this? Or hey man, I got this exclusive scoop. Do you want to be part of this? Like, I got an extra key for this, you know, do you want in? Whatever it may be. Like, and it's never an exchange of hey, you owe me now.
Right. There's
the genuine stuff, man. Yeah, the genuine stuff. It's very rare that you find stuff.
There is
like
that. I already promoted this already. Why are you sending me this to promote again? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So where can people find you, man? Where are you at?
Right now, I'm just promoting youtube.com/Andrew Alliance, my main channel. I'm back on there doing content and including the live streamings. I brought the live streamings back on there. I know we didn't really talk about that, but
yeah,
it made sense for me to bring it back. I didn't want to burn out by managing so many different channels, so I brought it back on the main channel. So youtube.com/Andrew Alliance. You know, you'll find me there.
All right, awesome. Gamers, make sure you check out Andrew Alliance. We have all the links in the description alluding to everything we've discussed today. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Shackcast, episode 52. Take care, be safe, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.